Hey, what's going on? This is Mariah Kamika from the band Plush, and you're watching Guitar Tales with Dave Cohen.
And thank you, Mariah Formica, two-time guest. What a great bumper, great band, Plush. And that, by the way, for our tonight's guest, Becky Baldwin was hand-chosen. Girl power, great musician, hard-working musicians. So that's why we picked Mariah's bumper for today. So thank you, Mariah. As we do every episode, we want to thank our sponsor, Mischief Studios in Pennington, New Jersey, with the great Charles Larita in charge of it. He is a one-time GT guest and a fabulous musician, teacher, and purveyor of all things great in the world of music, including lessons, instruments, and space. And as I like to do every time, also is thank my great friend, Scott Guitarist Stengel, who is with us behind the boards right now. He is keeping me honest. He will be muting every time my dog barks, which hopefully won't happen too much. He will be correcting me when my ignorance is exposed, which is frequent. And he will be giving me information I need when I do something wrong. All of that being said, this is an historic show here on Guitar Tales. It is not our first, but our second guest from the UK. However, this is what makes it our first. We had Johnny Bullitt on in, I believe, season 2, and during COVID, actually, who was calling in from New York City. But this is our first ever Guitar Tales episode where we have traversed the pond. And we have Becky Baldwin from the other side of the pond, hailing from the UK. She is a phenomenal bass player, great musician, great band player in Triaxis Fury. I'll get this name wrong. It's either Dorja or Dorja. I think it's Dorja. You'll correct me. And Hands Off Gretel. Scott and I are loving your song. We watched the video where basically who gets to hell first. And I think the specific title was I'll Meet You in Hell. The hook was great, the musicianship was great, and the performance was great. So thank you so much, Becky, for joining us.
Hello. Yeah, thank you for having me here.
We're thrilled to have you here. So you are 6-7 hours ahead of us, right?
Yes. It's 9 p.m. here right now in the UK.
Oh, so you're only 5 hours ahead of us. Oh,
okay.
Not too bad.
We worked it out somehow. We're here at the same time. It's a miracle.
It is. Yeah, we have 2 soup cans and a really long line stretched across the Atlantic Ocean so we could communicate with each other.
Hello.
But it worked. So I have to tell you, Scott and I, we have if you look at the background on the show right now, this is the kind we use all the time, but Scott put something special together for tonight. Here we go. Look at that. And then Scott,
very nice.
And Scott sent me an email this morning. He's like, you better do something about your albums back here. So I've got on the end, that's not just a Kinks album. I've got a Kinks EP, Superman, that I bought probably in 79 or 80. Let It Be, of course, we know. We've got The Jam. And then we went really weird. We have Roger Daltrey McVicker, a movie he made that probably 3 people watched. But we went all UK today for you, for our special guest.
What do you normally have there then?
It's random albums. It usually is more UK than anything else, in all honesty. But I pulled Zoso out, and I thought we've had it on too many episodes, so I wanted to go a little different. I wanted to dig a little deeper in, so I put The Jam up there.
Cool.
But we went, and my head is blocking. My bald head is blocking The Jam, but there it is. That's a cool album right there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good.
So we are all UK tonight for you. So let's hear talk about the projects you're doing right now. What bands are you with right now?
So the main band that I'm playing with at the moment is Fury, because at the moment Hands Off Gretel are on a little bit of a hiatus.
Okay.
And Triaxis, where we never officially, I didn't leave the band or anything. It's also kind of just not really, nothing is really happening at the moment.
Gotcha.
But it was kind of like, do I say that I left the band? Like, we've just kind of agreed to just not continue for a while. So yeah, the main thing at the moment is Fury. So I'm touring with them like all the time, and we're working on a new album for next year. But we're still touring the last couple of albums.
And where do you guys tour?
Well, yeah. So we're mostly in the UK, and we have ventured out into Europe a little bit. We'll be going back out to Europe again later this year. Unfortunately, we haven't done any dates in the USA yet. It's rather far to go, and it's quite a hard part of the industry to get into for a UK band to go over to America. You have lots of very strict visa rules and things. But we're hoping that one day we can do that.
I hadn't thought about that. We just had a guest on the other day, and he talked about when they went over to your side of the pond, they just sold everything they owned and bought one-way tickets. Because that's all they were able to do at the time. But yeah, it's in terms of equipment, in terms of your life, that would be a bit of a challenge.
Yes, yeah. Like, I mean, if we could go over there and I don't know, make it somehow feasible in terms of costs. Like, I think even if it was just a money thing, then it would be like, yeah, let's just do it. Like, we know that the kind of music we play is very popular in America, and now would be a very good time to do it, seeing as I've just played over there with Merciful Fate. It would mean just like, yeah, let's just go do it. But there are more things that you have to think about if you're, if you play over there, even if you're not making any like money profit. If you're there playing gigs, then you're working, and then you need a working visa, and like,
oh, gotcha.
It's like, it's harder to. A lot of bands, do try and do it, and a lot of bands get away with it, but a lot of bands get like sent back at the border and just waste all of their money and time doing it. And it's just, I don't know, it's not something I want to risk doing, like just going and hoping for the best, because if you want to promote your gigs, you have to post them everywhere online and like try and like rally up some interest from magazines and things. But if they then like search your name, like what is Rebecca Baldwin doing here in America? Well, she has a website with her tour dates with her band. So does she have a work visa? No. So send her that. So yeah, that would be the kind of thing that would happen if we tried to do it without a visa. So when I toured with Merciful Fate, they helped me arrange a visa for that period of time. But for like a whole new band, a very young band to do it, it's very hard, very, very hard.
It's something obviously we haven't thought about. You're our second guest from the UK, but the first one who's physically there. And I wonder, I'm a huge fan of the British invasion, and I wonder what it's like now, meaning you, to be a working, talented musician in the UK. And you look back, what's literally 40, 50 years ago, and there's that sense, I would guess, that the way to really, really make it and make it big is, you have to conquer America. And I wonder what sort of the myth of that is versus the reality and sort of the current thinking of working musicians in the UK.
Yeah, I guess it is, the same thing. Like, that's kind of a dream to conquer America and like, tap into that audience there, because I don't know, like for some reason, the Americans really like British music, and like
we do.
They kind of are interested in our kind of culture and things. So so you just need to find a way to someone to present your band to that audience, and then present it in the right way to the right people. Of course, like it's not like, okay, all Americans like all British artists. It's like finding the right niche as well. But yeah, I guess like not as much anymore. I guess maybe the industry has changed a little in that the venues seem more corporate, and whereas like you can do quite well just touring smaller venues in Europe, for example.
Yeah.
Whereas in America, like I don't know for sure because I've not actually like toured America. There are some like small grassroots venues, but when you start actually getting bigger, it's like straight into the kind of corporate machine of the music industry, and
it's true.
And that's when you start being like, oh, okay, not sure how you lose a lot of control, and you're not quite sure how much you're going to enjoy and feel like a creative artistic person when you start working through that part of the industry. I don't know for sure, but like I don't know, that's something that I've been thinking of. Like I wouldn't mind if my main priority now is to like kind of break more into Europe, and if I can make more work out of that, then that'd be great. And then America would be the sights that I set after that.
Yeah, I love that analysis, and Scott chimed in. It's true. Scott can get you into the fabled Stone Pony.
Okay, cool.
Where I'll be this Saturday night watching GT guest Girl Bossa Nova for the second time. They're a wonderful band, and and that there are those iconic places. But we just posted on our website, CBGB's is now a John Varvatos clothing store.
Oh no.
Yeah, and you're right. Most of the big arenas are named after banks or airlines right now.
That's something that really struck me when I went over there and did some venues. It was like, the YouTube theater and like I don't know, something. And I was just like, why are these all named after something that's completely unrelated to music?
Oh, because it's the massive egos of asshole builders. That's what it is.
Yeah. They're like, what am I going to do with my money? I know, I'll buy some venues. But I mean, we do have that over here. O2 venues. So like the O2 mobile network is like owns like all of the big venues over here. But it's just very common for us to be like, oh, it's the O2 venue. Everyone goes, that's where all the big bands play. But yeah, you've got just different big corporations owning different big venues over there. So it was very interesting to see that.
And I wonder for you to sort of build your brand, right? I was on your side of the pond, which I've said about 1,000 times, too many already. But I was in England about 6-7 months ago, and I know there's all sorts of great venues there. Such a cool culture, musically that is, and otherwise. But I wonder for you to build your brand, if you're going to pack more power to your punch, creating a great video at a cool venue, and then disseminating the video than you would if you played at a plastic generic arena over here.
Yeah, I guess so. Like, there's a lot more, interesting venues that should have a draw on their own, I guess, and like something interesting to pull an audience in on their own over here compared to, every venue trying to be the same thing. And ultimately, they're not going to be as good as the smaller venues that,
right?
Cheaper beer.
That's right. Yeah.
Better sound, better layout, just generally better quality, and the staff are really going to look after you. So I don't know. Yeah, it's a real shame that that they're disappearing. And as you said about CBGB's going, like I can't believe that people wouldn't like rally around to protect them. But we hear about it every day here, venues dropping like flies.
Yeah, I guess everyone took a hit from COVID, and I wonder, there's a certain percentage of them that just can't come back. And then the ones who did maintain, like the Stone Pony, Scott is always playing at Bar Anticipation, which is another wonderful shore venue. They come out stronger than ever because they survived, and it's fewer left. But I'm even thinking for you, if part of your mystique is being from England, like that could be your appeal here, right? And then if there's video footage of you playing a cool venue there, that could have an appeal to us, because that's part of the mystique, I would think. And I don't know if you're aware of it, but you have an accent as far as we're concerned.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Scott and I were we were goofing off. We cannot do it. We tried. We can't do a British accent. Yeah.
We actually played a venue. It was in Aberdeen in Scotland.
Okay.
A few months ago, and that was live streamed. So the venue during the lockdown, it started working towards getting really great quality cameras installed,
right,
so that they could move more to the online realm. And I thought that was really interesting. And like I was desperate for venues to do that. During the lockdown, like come on, we need to play some gigs. We have I feel like bands started utilizing their online following more. We definitely did. We weren't spending as much time on the road, so we were figuring out how we can reach our online fans. And that meant that we had fans all over the world who could probably not see us ever, because we're not going to play anywhere near them anytime soon. So we were like itching for a venue to start doing really good quality live streams. And yeah, this venue started doing it, and it was really good quality. And so yeah, we're really excited to go back another time, because it was a very cool, like, small venue, but again, like as you said, you can get the whole vibe of the room, which is something I didn't really think of. I was just thinking like, oh, how cool does the stage look, and how high quality is the video? But actually, like, getting a little vibe of like what the room looks like would be quite cool. And there's a technology for it where you can have that like 360 view of the room. You could see how empty it is at the front, because
right.
Because like a big band is playing down the road, and like, damn it, they've all gone there. But it was a really cool show.
Yeah, and it's funny because we consume a ridiculous amount of our music on these things. We've got a tiny little screen. And our brains have adjusted to sort of transporting us into whatever we're watching. And yeah, if you've got, great sound and great video coming from your venue in Scotland, to the extent it can happen, and we, everyone, you and I and Scott in the green room, in the control room back then, we all agree nothing will ever beat being live. I mean, just you can't, and you can't replicate it. But to the extent that we're consuming music and consuming the experience through screens, as we call them now, you're going to create a lot of that if you're mindful, I guess, about trying to put that experience together for people. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that venues should be moving more towards if they're going to survive, because I don't think it's the kind of thing that a big venue could really do or wouldn't really need to do.
Right.
Like the O2 venues, but venues that the big places are doing don't really need to do that so much. But the small venues, it could really be the thing that kind of keeps them going.
Right. And it's interesting because it's going to help you, because it'll help your name recognition and help maybe get people to buy your music to come see you. And then we always talk on the show. We had a whole panel discussion in season 2 of probably one of our best shows. And it's always they talk about getting asses onto the stools, getting asses into the bar, get asses into the seats. And if they're live streaming and they're conveying to people who are within a reasonably close distance and they're getting that vibe, they want to be there, the next time.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, no, I thought you were going to go say, oh, they're just going to watch it from home and not come and buy the beer. But, right. I think if they saw it, they'd be like, hang on, I'm missing out here. This is like, that looks like it's going to be really fun. But yeah, like, I think, it's going to be good for the local area and just anything that can keep that venue going. And then, for certain bands that can't travel far, can't really, cross the pond to America, we can still like reach those fans who keep asking to see a show. They finally get what they want, at least on a screen.
Yeah, and it might inspire them to get the hell out of their houses, Yeah. And we had Paul Nelson on. I don't know if you know Paul. He's toured with Buddy Guy, super cool guy, great musician, and he said something that made perfect sense that I had never thought of, and I personally experienced. So I'll ask you. He's noticed bigger crowds post-COVID than he had seen in quite a while. But he said people want to get to the venue earlier. They like earlier shows. Whereas, in sort of the semi-old days, you might start a gig at 10, 11 at night and, play till 2, 3 in the morning or what have you. He's seeing a lot of earlier gigs at the small and mid-sized venues. Are you seeing that?
I guess a little bit. Like, yeah, I guess I'm seeing more people at gigs. Maybe it's because of people's like working schedules. Maybe more people working from home. They're working earlier, finishing earlier, and they're able to get out to a gig earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone loves an idea of like an early gig, like 5 o'clock start, come home by like 9 o'clock, lovely, get to bed. Unless if you're at work. So yeah. So I guess like if people have found a more flexible working like daily schedule, then that could be a thing. And yeah, like. I don't know, maybe people are thinking more about, transport and, I don't know, maybe they're just a bit more used to being at home and they just don't want to. more.
And we talked about a little bit about sort of that cocoon safety feeling, post COVID.
Well, I think yes. Like, I mean, when I came back to gigs, I did notice there were more people at the shows, but I don't know whether that was because while we were in this like lockdown like stage, we did a lot of promotion and like we were reaching a lot online promotion, and we were reaching a lot more people. So, and then I don't know, like, are the crowds getting older? Like, I feel like everyone aged a lot in those 2 years?
We did. Yeah.
And yeah, you just, you value having a nice place to sit. And I think maybe just the culture became more like, it's okay to want to sit down. It's okay to want to be well rested. Like, that's not like a bad thing. Nobody's going to shame you into being uncomfortable anymore, because if you just don't want to do it, you're just not going to go. So yeah, I guess like there's a kind of push to make venues and gigs more accessible, more friendly, and just like a nicer place to be, which can only be a good thing, I suppose.
That could only be a good thing.
Yeah.
Now I want to switch gears with you a little bit, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So you have such a cool sort of amalgamation of background musical interest. You come from a sort of punk and heavy metal bent. And I Scott and I were chatting when we were so happy you said yes, first of all, to doing the show. So who were some of your most serious punk influences?
I guess like I guess the Damned were a big one that I really liked, and I guess I was more of a metalhead, and then I kind of punk kind of came in and out. Like for me, like I really enjoyed like the Riot Girl kind of era, like X-Ray Specs and stuff like that. So, but it was kind of a later thing, and I always think of like Motorhead as like a metal band. I mean, they always say we're a rock and roll band, but they're kind of a punk band as well.
Right.
And that kind of crossover is kind of where I'm the most interested in punk music. Oh, and like I suppose the Cramps, kind of more psychobilly kind of thing. But yeah, I think my favorite punk band would be the Damned.
Right. Now, do you go back to any of the original traditional punk? You like the Pistols, sort of the Clash, and they're not really punk, but Yeah,
no, I really like them. I played I was adept for like a Sex Pistols tribute act for a little while, and that was fun. Like very it's very straightforward bass lines. It was quite cool. It was fun to learn those like 2 albums. Like,
yeah,
well, I think it was all off the same album that we did. But yeah, like I don't know, when I think of punk, like the Sex Pistols are very like, they were really cool when I first started listening to them, but like they don't really feel like the ethos of punk the more you kind of learn about them, like being more like kind of manufactured, put together. And I don't know, like they became less and less cool, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, and even their albums, I always comment that they're almost too nicely produced. Like they were really well produced. Their songs, like almost impossibly so, considering sort of what they were trying to convey. That they sound too good, almost.
Yeah.
And I never thought about the bass.
A lot of money behind them, which having a lot of money behind them makes them, I don't know, very different to what like most people consider punk to be, I suppose.
Yeah. I was ever so briefly, I was in a band called Bloody Smegma, of all things. I was in a punk band.
That's cool.
Yeah, in about 78, 79. And then Scott stole me, and we actually we were in a band called The Cure before The Cure existed.
Oh,
we
wow.
We came up with
name.
Yeah, they did. We got no money because we weren't any good. But and then heavy metal. Who are some of your biggest influences? I know this already because we've looked you up, but let us know. Who are some of your biggest heavy metal influences?
It would probably be Black Sabbath would be the main one. I just think they're the most influential band. Just I don't know, of like the whole genre. I feel like they created heavy metal, and they were one of the first people to kind of fuse like the kind of horror of fusing horror with music and like down-tuned guitars and like riffs and like frightening sounds and all these kind of cool things that I just think are really exciting. And then I was a big Metallica fan. I still am obviously a huge Metallica fan, but like, I was super obsessed with them through all my teenage years. So Black Sabbath and Metallica would definitely be the most influential on my playing as well. Also the bass players Geezer Butler and Cliff Burton, like hugely influential.
I hadn't really thought about that before, but sort of the Sabbath mix of, sort of the notion of witchcraft and ethereal and medieval. And who was it? Was it Aleister Crowley, who was like he was the so-called devil worshiper, right? And it added to the mystique and the ethos, and it takes you to that fun, dark place, And I'm guessing, and I'll let you elaborate on it. I think perhaps some of the appeal to you and the fans would be the escape that you can get through that sort of fantasy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Geezer Butler from Black Sabbath, he's often talked about how they were kind of observing like the cinema and like the horror films that were coming through, and they were like, why are people paying money to be scared? Why do they want to be scared? It's not nice, surely. And then they were like, well, actually, maybe it is, and we like it. This is fun to us. So maybe in the medium of music, it would work as well, and people would like that. I mean, not to say that they're the first band to kind of fuse those things. There was a band called Coven in America, I think, actually, that were kind of doing that sort of thing just before.
That's kind of self-explanatory, right?
Yeah. But I don't know like whether they heard of Coven or not, but or whether they completely it came about organically. But yeah, I just think people were just interested in like being scared and like but yeah, the fascination with like the occult and weird things going on. And like, you speak to a lot of people who were around at this time, and they were like, yeah, I really did see things that I can't explain. And it's super fascinating. Like,
oh yeah. I've had,
maybe it was the drugs. It could have been the drugs.
Although I've had in my personal life, I've had some pretty cool, unexplainable experiences while not on drugs or drunk or anything, including moving items and things like that. So,
cool.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff. And if you talk about the mystique, and I think I'm getting the name, I think it was Aleister Crowley, right?
Yeah.
And they would record albums in his house, I believe.
I think so. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
And he's, so here he is, he's bringing the pentagram, holy crap, to the public consciousness. And I would think that the mystique is such a, dare I say, healthy outlet for people. They're going to work, they're working, 8, 9, 10-hour days. And they want their escape. They want their fantasy. And obviously you want good music attached to it. So I had never thought of that analysis of the roots of heavy metal. Yeah,
I guess so. Like, I mean, you think about, the start of Black Sabbath and like, the industrial, like it's heavy, it's slow.
Yeah.
And and it's reflecting the kind of working class background, like the industrial, like factory background that they all kind of had. But yeah, like thinking, okay, yeah, the escape that they will be desiring is something where they have a lot of power. They can call upon powers through like their beliefs and things that can make them more powerful. Like that's quite interesting. So yeah, of course you would be like reading the Satanic Bible and listening to Black Sabbath and lighting candles and a little pentagram. Like that sounds like a perfect evening.
Yeah, and it's funny, and Scott actually started a drinking game right now. He called it on the other side of the pond. So I think he's going to drink every time we say that. I'm about to say it. So on your side of the pond, think about the Stones. I always forget exactly her Satanic Majesty's Secret Request, the Stones album, which I think I have the name right. And that's my favorite Stones album. And they were doing it, 66, 67, maybe 68. Maybe earlier, might have even been closer to when the Beatles started. but they were playing on that, and their style was not at all heavy metal, but I think they were playing on that mystique, you know. That's
Yeah. And they liked being the bad boys as well. If you
they did. I liked them better than
like,
the Stones. Yeah.
yeah, and like they liked that people's parents hated them. Whereas I think I don't know. I would say like Black Sabbath, like not that your parents should hate them, but like
They're supposed to. They're supposed to.
yeah.
That's
Yeah. They like being like the darker, like the yin and yang with the Beatles. They wanted to be the dark side.
Yeah.
They wanted to be like, we're like them, but like we're the bad ones.
We got a little bit of edge, you know,
Yeah.
and they were sort of the sexier band, and not that the members of the band were better looking than the Beatles. It doesn't matter, but sort of their vibe was a sexier vibe because of the danger attached to it.
Yeah, you wouldn't say they were cute. You would say they were sexy.
Right. Yeah. That's a very fair characterization. Yes. And I'm going to do a quickie topic change because I don't want to forget to do it, and I always give Scott credit. Endorsements. I've read a little bit. I know you are a lover of Rickenbacker. And do you have any companies you are an endorser for?
So endorser of Diodario strings. I've been like big fan of their strings for a long time, so I was very pleased when they agreed to take me onto their roster. That was quite a few years ago, but yeah, still super happy with their strings. And then
Packs of 5 for you, I know. Right? Yeah.
And then we've got Dark Glass Electronics, which do amps, cabs, and effects pedals. So mostly like distortion, overdrive, compression kind of pedals. So they're quite a smaller company. They were based in Finland. I know there's some kind of restructuring of the company going on right now, but yeah, they're doing really well. But yeah, they were a much smaller company in Finland. So I kind of thought like big company with Diodario and then a smaller one with Dark Glass. They both have their perks, you know, being with a small company, like you grow together, and then being with a bigger one, they can kind of help you out a lot more. So yeah, those are the main ones. And then like my pick guards, I'm kind of endorsed with Alperius custom pick guards. I don't know if you've seen them, but yeah,
you can show us. Let's take a look at some. We would love that.
This one.
Oh, look at that.
So yeah, it's all like shiny. It's carved out of aluminium, I think, and so yeah, it's kind of like textured, so it catches the light nicely. And
that's beautiful.
Yeah, and he did this. I can get it in the light. Can you see that? It says
I can. Yeah, that looks fantastic.
Yeah,
and look at how skinny that neck is too.
Yeah, it's like
from here at least, it looks like a nice skinny neck.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's I don't know. I'm so used to Rickenbackers now. Like it's
just a Rickenbacker. That's all it is.
Yeah.
But
yeah, 3 of my basses have very similar designs, and he also did a little thumb rest on there as well.
Oh, I like that. And what you have that sunburst guitar? It looks sort of sunbursty. The second one over hanging.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a Dan Electro Longhorn.
Oh my God, is that gorgeous?
Yeah, it's cool, right?
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's like, you know, you see a lot of these in like kind of 70s, 80s kind of videos, like the Sweet and Slade. Like I think their bass players use some of these, but this is like a newer one. I think it's like early 2000s. But
but it's retro, obviously.
Yeah, no, I love retro looking basses, and I don't know, it's this kind of sicky brown color with these like really gross plastic knobs, and I love it. It's so cool.
You know what I like? I like how basic it is. Yeah.
I think actually the bass player from Maneskin, if you've seen that band, they're really big now. Their bass player plays a Longhorn as well. What was I going to show you just then? Wait. Can you see? Oh, you can't really see it. There's a little.
We can see it.
You can see there's a little skull. This is a little skull head on there.
Oh, look at that! I could. I know it's there. Oh yeah, now I can see it. I keep it still.
Oh yeah.
Right there. That's very cool. It's one of those things only you know about, though it's there when you're on stage, right?
Yeah. It's like, yeah, if you take a closer look, there's actually some cool things on there. But yeah, this bass is from 1977. This was made, so
And that's cool, and that's not as skinny looking a neck as your other Rick, at least to my perspective.
Well, yeah.
It looks like a meteor neck on that one.
They're both the same.
Are they?
Yeah, the white one and the black one. I think. This is a 5-string here, so maybe that looks thick.
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
But this one's like a 3/4 kind of scale.
Yeah.
So this is much shorter, but yeah, the others are more kind of standard.
And so when did you start tinkering around with a 5-string versus a 4-string? What was your thought process? And I know you're not a fan of cheap 5-strings. I read that.
Was I ranting about cheap 5-strings? Yeah. No, I don't like them. Like I got a 5-string once and it was cheap and it was crap and I hated it. So a bit later on, I needed more of a kind of working bass because I was out of university and really need to pick up some more paid gigs. Like, right. I really wanted to buy like a pointy, like BC Rich or something, and be like,
right. Yeah.
Something like really cool. But I needed something like sensible that I could work with. And the best kind of thing for that kind of maybe wedding work, like function work, and tribute bands is to have a 5-string. So it's a lot easier to like transpose songs to a different key, like if your singer needed it or something. And yes, people were talking about the Fender jazz bass, and
right.
So I got one of those, and it's really nice. It was a secondhand one, but I love it. And then it started getting incorporated more into playing with original bands as well. So I kind of pimped it up a bit. So that's also got an Alperius pickguard scratch plate on it. So
those are super cool. Yeah. And what are there any particular pickups you're partial to?
So I've modified the two Rickenbackers with Seymour Duncan pickups.
Okay.
So it's kind of like the kind of Lemmy kind of pickup that I think he was using. So they sound great. Like it does like change it. For a lot of people don't like to modify the classic Rickenbacker sound. Like you're kind of ruining it. But I don't know. Like I really like the kind of high gain. Stuff that it's just a lot more appropriate for the metal and the kind of rock and punk stuff that I'm playing. Right. So I guess it's a little bit less like distinctively Rickenbacker, but
we know your original attraction. I read your original attraction to Rickenbacker is that they looked cool, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And they do.
They do. They just look cool.
They're the coolest. I've always wanted a Rick as a guitar, and I just haven't gotten around to getting them. But they're iconic. But you got to make them for you. I mean, you got to have the sound match Becky, right?
Yes. Yeah. Like, I guess because Lemmy was such a big influence on me. Like the Rickenbacker was like, yes, that's the kind of bass that I want. And then as my sound kind of progressed, and then I kind of looked into what kind of pickups he was using. Then it made, and also Cliff Burton and other like bass players that I was really into. It just seemed right to try out the Seymour Duncan, and it's just transformed the sound. It's been really good.
And that's what you have to be true to you and what you want to accomplish. So I think that's great. So you got the best of both worlds. You got your cool guitar that your idol used, and then you made it your own. It's just like when we've had so many people talk about covers, and ultimately, when you do a cover, if you don't make it your own in a way that makes the audience feel good, then what are you doing?
Yeah, what's the point of doing it unless if you put a little bit of yourself, a little bit of your own personality and flair style into it? Otherwise they'll just listen to the original. I guess.
Now in your world of you've been in some tribute bands and you do originals. Now you're a songwriter also, I understand.
Not really. So
no?
I don't know where you found that, but no, generally I just write the bass lines.
Okay.
I'll help with like arranging the song, but in terms of like writing the song from from silence to a song.
Right.
No, like that's generally other bandmates do that bit.
Although if you're writing the bass line, that's part of the process, right?
Yeah, it is part of it. Like, you know, I do think it's an important part. Like, but it's like I wouldn't know where to start. Like, so I like it when, you know, the song is you've already got like the bare bones of the song. You've got the idea of like either some of the riffs or some of like the chords and the feel, and then you can start like playing around with how the bass line will pull it in whichever direction, or just do what you can to serve the song. So yeah, you know, that is like writing. You know, you write bass lines, but I don't know. I wouldn't call it writing.
I'd give you props for it, and you know, I because I don't have my notes in front of me, but the song "I'll Meet You in Hell" is that the right title? Or
it's probably "If You Get to Hell First."
If You Get to Hell First. So that bass line in that, first, love the video, and then perhaps more importantly, definitely more importantly, the music is fantastic in that, and that was just such a driving rhythm section in that song. Did you put that bass line together for that one?
I can't remember. I think some of it. I'm not sure if you know the bit where it all drops out.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that was already. I think it may have been originally on a guitar, and then it kind of got like maybe bass should do that bit. You know. So yeah, like there's certain bits in certain songs that like certain bass breaks that I've done, but I feel like that one that was already quite an important part of the riff that was already written for the song.
It was just so tight, and I trend a little more rock than heavy metal, and I was loving that song, and I wonder where, in what genre would you call that?
I think that
if
one
you could.
is. I think I would say that one is heavy metal. Like it's not quite thrash. Like it's one of the faster heavy metal songs, but it doesn't have kind of the other qualities that you'd call thrash, I suppose. Like, but it's just kind of a fast heavy metal song. But a lot of that album is more hard rock, and maybe even kind of just more like kind of classic rock kind of sound. Like over here we call it the new wave of classic rock, because there's a lot of classic rock bands going around at the moment. So yeah, we've kind of moved a bit more towards some like classic rock sounds, but that is more of a metal song on that album. It's still a metal album overall, but it has a few like soft
and we will be when we finish up the show, we're going to be closing out with some parts of that video. It just, Scott and I just both fell in love with the tune.
Oh, great!
It's such a cool tune.
Oh, I love that song. No, I always think when people ask like, okay, what song should we check out? I always say that one. Like, it's just a really cool, just little like story of like a rock and roll band and like musicians. You sell your soul to the devil. It's like, I don't know. It's that old like, devil at the crossroads kind of story.
It's completely that. And then even in the video when he's literally signing a contract with the devil.
Yeah.
and it's really nicely filmed. Like I'm watching this and I'm picking up on all the fine details, how they had the gorgeous focus on it looked like, it wasn't, but it looked like a fountain pen, but then they had blurry the rest of the contract, and you see the grain of the paper. So someone put a lot of thought into the style of the taping or filming of that. It's a really well done video.
Yeah, the guy, he does a lot of our videos. It's called Lion Island Media, but he's done a few of ours now. And like every time we come to him with this concept, and we're like, so we need to dress this guy up as the devil, and we have to like do this, and we're like, do you think you could do something? And he's like, oh yeah, sure, yeah, we'll figure something out. And then every time he pulls something out of the bag, and we're like, oh yeah. So at the end, we're like, oh, we need to be in hell. Like he needs to have like gone into hell, and like, how are we going to make that happen? He's like, oh, I don't know. Leave it to me. I'll think about it. Then he's like, oh, there's a cave in out in this woodland, like over there. Like if we filmed at night in this cave, and put some red lights around, it will probably look like hell. And like it totally did. We were like,
it did.
Yeah, we were like, how are we going to do this with a green screen? And it's going to be really tacky and stuff. And he's like, nah, we'll just find a cave in the middle of nowhere, and I can make it look like hell. And he just did a great job.
And it's fun. I mean,
and we got to like paint our friend red, put like fake nails on him, tea stain like a piece of paper and make a contract. It's all very fun.
I almost tried, the lawyer in me, this is so pathetic. I almost paused it. I wanted to see if I could read what the contract really said. Like if there was like funny stuff in there. Because obviously it's probably not really a contract with the devil would be my guess. Yeah. But
you know what? I can't remember what we did with those. I think we kept hold of them. Like we had a couple of copies because you'd sign it and then something would go wrong and then we'd have to do the shot a few times.
Right.
We probably have it somewhere, and I do remember writing out the contract.
Oh, that's
so that if
funny.
people read it, like if it would make sense.
Oh, so you actually sort of used some kind of language as though it really was a contract with the devil, just for shits and giggles, so to speak.
We did definitely. Yeah. We did some research online, like I don't know. Like, of course, obviously, Google has contracts with the devil that you can just print off at home. We just kind of borrowed bits from that and put something together. So yeah, Julian signed it, and so now his soul belongs to the devil.
I was just going to say that arguably that's a binding contract. So he might have some issues down the road. He did sign it. We all see he signed it.
Oh no! Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
That's
will
funny.
it hold up in court? We'll have to see.
And what court would it be? It would be in Hades.
I guess so.
Yeah, they'll do whatever they want down there. But so let me ask you this: so what is next on the horizon besides Eternal Damnation? What's next on the horizon for Fury, for you with Fury and other stuff you have going on?
So next we're continuing to tour a little bit in the UK and a little bit in Europe, and then starting this summer we should be starting our next album, which is going to be our 5th studio album.
Wow.
And then hopefully that will be released in maybe spring next year. We seem to be on this like kind of two-year album cycle, release in spring and then tour. So like hopefully everything falls into place for that happening, and hopefully we have a bigger impact on this album and start to like get out some new cities and countries and stuff. So it's quite an exciting time because like the next album, I don't know, I guess our songwriting is a bit more refined now, I guess.
Okay.
It's the direction of the band has like slowly been changing from one album to the next. So I don't know, I just hope we have our audience are open-minded and just like to hear different kinds of music. Like we don't really follow the same thing. Like you might have seen that we recently released a song called Dragon Song, which was an acoustic
Loved
cover.
it. I wanted to talk about that.
All right.
There was no fantasy there. That was just a straight up great serious song. You had the person standing up in the background assisting with the vocals. Really nice acoustic guitar work. I loved, layering in your bass work. I really enjoyed that song.
Oh, great. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't think I wouldn't call it a departure. I would call it growth and expansion from where you last were, Yeah,
because we don't we don't stop being a heavy metal band. We still sometimes play those songs. So yeah, the original version of that song is more of a kind of power metal, heavy, fast, loud kind of song. And then we're like, well, it would work really well in this format. So let's try it. That doesn't mean we stop. Like the other version stops existing. So yeah, we're very happy to pursue any style of music if we think it's good, if we like it. Like, we're not just going to completely sell out and start playing a different kind of music because we think that's where the money is or something. It's obviously not happening. But yeah, like we just hope that fans will. It's not a huge like gap in genre, but like they'll enjoy like heavy music as well as like hard rock and also some acoustic stuff. And it's okay to like a few different things and to play a few different things.
Well, I have a whole list going on in my head, starting with On This Side of the Pond. There you go, Scott. Take a drink. On This Side of the Pond, Extreme. They're a hard rock song. Yeah. And their most famous song is Nothing Like It. And everyone still loves them for being a hard rock band. Ozzy has some soft songs, and no one no one questions his street credibility, and when he bites the head off pigeons, I mean, he's never going to lose his credibility. But yeah, and that song was just, it was delicate, it was emotional, and it was thoughtful. Like I loved it. That was a really great song.
Yeah.
And I sort of forced it upon myself. Let me come up with the segue here. Where can people go to find that song?
You could go to maybe just go to my website so you can find everything there. BeckyBaldwinBass.com. If you want to find the Fury website, that's furyofficial.co.uk. But I keep my website more updated because I know how to do it better. so like you might find more stuff on there, and then you'll find links through to our YouTube and like find all our videos there and everything.
It was so easy. I enjoyed my YouTube journey looking at all your stuff today. It was great. It was great. Well, I got to tell you, it was so much fun having you on the show, and we're really grateful that you took the time. It's a late night show for you. That's not lost on us. So we do truly appreciate it.
That's okay. I've got an English cider, and I'm having a nice time. So yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And by the way, Scott's idea, I'm drinking tea for you today.
Oh.
Except. I put a little Jersey vodka in it.
Oh, great. So that's perfect. That's
yes,
perfect.
But we did a little bit of tea for your side of the pond. So cheers with our noise network. Wait, hold on. Let me do our product placement. Our noise network. Well, I can't do that right. There we go. Well, cheers. Cheers. Well, thank you so much. This was great with Becky Baldwin. I want to thank everyone here on Guitar Tales for tuning in. Do us a favor if you can. If you like what you're seeing, just hit subscribe. It's not that hard. It doesn't take a lot of work. You can just do this. Just do this, and it makes everybody happy, and it gets you advance notice of all the great shows like Becky Baldwin will be having on. Have a great night, and thanks again to Scott Guitar Mrs. Stengel for all your beautiful work. Have a great night.
And it's Phil X, and you're watching Guitar Tales with Dave Cohen. And Guitar Tales, like what else do you need, right? Guitar. We're geeks, nerds, gear, inspirations, positive vibes. Look out.